When I was growing up, it was almost taken for granted that going to university was the golden ticket to a successful career. I remember Tony Blair setting a target of 50% of school leavers going to university, a target that I think has since been met. But in today's rapidly changing world, where technology is disrupting every industry and the number of students in debt is skyrocketing, one question looms large. Is a college or university degree still worth it? Look at this clip from Elon Musk that summarizes this thought.
You don't need college to learn stuff, okay? Everything is available basically for free. You can learn anything you want for free. It is not a question of learning. There is a value that colleges have, which is like, seeing whether can somebody work hard at something, including a bunch of sort of annoying homework assignments, and still do their homework assignments and kind of soldier through and get it done. That's like the main value of college. And then also, if you probably want to hang around with a bunch of people your own age for a while instead of going right into the workforce.
So, what's the current state of higher education? Well, it's a bit of a mixed bag with conflicting signals. On the one hand, we see record numbers of students enrolling in universities. In the UK, projections suggest that there could be up to 1 million higher education applicants by 2030, up from 750,000 today. But on the other hand, there's this growing sense of disillusionment. Surveys show that a significant portion of young people believe a university degree is just a waste of time and doesn't prepare them for the real world. In fact, studies suggest that anywhere from 35% to 65% of graduates regret their decision to go to university. So have we reached peak university? Are we on the cusp of a major decline in the perceived value of a traditional degree? Now, for those of you who've recently made the choice to attend or not attend universities, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Was it worth it for you? What factors influenced your decision? But for those of you who are still undecided, or perhaps you have a son or a daughter or a nephew seeking advice, this video aims to shed light on the changing landscape of higher education. We'll explore the reasons behind the growing skepticism and help you weigh the pros and cons of pursuing a university degree in today's world. You'll then be better equipped to form your own point of view, one way or another. If you're new here, welcome to Futureflect. The world is changing really fast and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But here, we calmly reflect on the future together, empowering us to not just survive, but thrive in that world of change. So, why are people becoming increasingly skeptical about university? Let's start with the big one, money. Particularly relevant to those of you watching in the US or England, where we have some of the most expensive degrees in the world. Not Scotland though, the Scots are super awesome, much love. In the UK, tuition fees, which were once free before '98, have escalated from £1,000 to £9,000 per year. This steep increase has made university a major financial commitment, and there's even signs that the fees are going to go up further. And the student debt rates bear out that financial commitment. To compound the issue, interest rates on student debt in the UK have also increased markedly over the last decade or so. In the US, the average cost of tuition and fees has more than doubled in the last 2 decades. The burden of student loan debt is just a major concern, with over 40 million Americans carrying student loans. Which would be fine if people felt the return on investment was high. However, the value of a university degree is increasingly questioned. Historically, a degree often guaranteed better job prospects and higher earnings. So say in the 60s and 70s, graduates earned over 70% more than their non-graduate counterparts over their lifetimes. However, recent statistics paint a different picture. By 2020, only 66% of UK graduates were in high-skilled employment. Furthermore, 31% of graduates were overeducated for their roles in 2017, and the earnings premium for graduates has dropped from 45% to 34% in 2019, and it's likely even lower now. So, in this world where cost of living is supremely high and the tuition fees are 9k a year, that makes it harder for many young people just to ignore those more cold-hearted return on investment calculations. Because even if you view the loan as a form of a graduate tax rather than a loan, the higher interest rates mean that it'll effectively be a lifelong graduate tax, which may make some people nervous, particularly if the earnings premium for graduates continues to erode. And interestingly, this return on investment strain is being mirrored in the university sector itself, which is itself now under financial strain. In the UK, for example, universities face challenges related to Brexit, pension deficits, changing student behaviour, and just rising costs. And some of those institutions are struggling to maintain sustainability without further increasing tuition fees. That financial pressure may lead to fewer universities or just a major shift in how they operate, potentially impacting the availability and quality of higher education. There are also broader structural reasons why many are now questioning the future of university. The job market is evolving rapidly, with many roles and industries emerging that just didn't exist a decade ago. The World Economic Forum estimates that 65% of children entering primary school today will end up working in a job type that doesn't yet exist. Now, as an aside, I know many of you online have some strong conspiracy theories about the World Economic Forum, but their infographics are aesthetically pleasing, so leave me alone, okay? Anyway, the rise of AI also introduces just uncertainty about job security and future employment needs, as machines might take on more work, albeit with new job types being created. But in that context, traditional university model may just struggle to keep up with the pace of change. Employers are increasingly prioritizing skills over formal degrees. In 2019, Apple CEO Tim Cook noted that about half of Apple's US employees did not have a 4-year degree. And IBM introduced the concept of new college jobs to emphasize skills over traditional credentials. Furthermore, 73% of employers adopted skill-based hiring last year, which was up from 56% in 2022. That shift suggests that maybe practical skills and competencies are becoming more important than a degree's prestige. Now, other signals of a potential shift include the rise of alternative education models, which are gaining a lot of traction. The market for micro-credentials and online courses has surged, projected to grow from $45 billion in 2018 to over $117 billion by 2025. There are programs like coding bootcamps or platforms such as 42, which is a global network of free IT schools with peer-to-peer learning. All of these offer viable alternatives to traditional degrees. Employers are also increasing the number of apprenticeships. The point is, all of those options provide targeted practical skills that try to align with current job market demands. And this is even putting aside the potential of AI to act like personalized tutors, wrapping themselves around you to your precise learning style and needs. It just may make them more effective than university. What's interesting is that you are beginning to see some universities recognize that they may need to adapt to remain relevant. For example, one of the most interesting degree programs I've come across recently is from a newer university called the London Interdisciplinary School, and they offer a degree program designed to equip students with a toolkit for tackling diverse problems rather than just focusing on one single subject. That approach reflects a growing recognition that traditional degrees just may not meet modern needs. Finally, there's an increasing recognition that learning is going to need to become a lifelong endeavor as we end up having many different careers, or needing to acquire different skills from decade to decade. In that environment, does maybe the need diminish for one deep focused study in an area over 3 years at the beginning of your career? Maybe it would just make more sense to spread those 3 years out over the course of your professional life, perhaps through annual sabbaticals every few years, so that you can then upskill yourself with the tools and tech of that time, which, by the way, in 20 years' time, may just be a software upgrade to the Neuralink chip in your brain. Anyway, let's go back to the beginning. Should you go to university? Well, as always, Futureflect encourages you to form your own point of view. For every argument I presented, there likely will be a credible counter-argument. But for what it's worth, here's my take. Let's start by acknowledging the undeniable value that universities have traditionally offered. They've been the birthplace of groundbreaking discoveries, they've fostered critical thinking, and they've produced generations of skilled graduates. I'm still really grateful for my time at university, but I do understand why the tide may turn. We know more broadly there's a rising distrust in institutions, whether that's government or media, and so it's not surprising that universities, being one of the world's oldest institutions, will also get caught up in that distrust and cynicism. But I don't think it's just vibes that are putting people off. We've seen that there's some really credible and rational arguments emerging. So you should continue to keep an eye on all the signals we've discussed above, whether that's tuition fees or debt levels, or those rise of alternative education, skills that are in high demand, and how universities themselves try to respond to these challenges. But beyond these signals, there's also a deeper question we need to ask. What is the true value of a university education? Is it solely about acquiring a degree and securing a well-paying job? Or is there something more intangible at play? After all, universities do offer more than just technical skills and knowledge. They provide a unique environment for personal growth. You can forge lifelong friendships, build networks, and gain valuable life experiences like standing outside the halls of residence when someone's burnt their toast again. That benefit is sometimes easy to miss when there is a sole focus on economic productivity. And for many, these intangible benefits can be just as valuable, if not more so, than the tangible skills and knowledge you can acquire. They can enrich your life, broaden your perspective, and shape you into being a more well-rounded individual. But, I also concede that there are other ways to achieve this. For example, you could spend a year or two working abroad in another environment or culture. Just like any problem statement, with a little bit of creativity, there are several ways to achieve a goal. And those other ways may not saddle you with lifelong debt. So the decision of whether or not to pursue a university degree is ultimately a personal one. No one size is going to fit all. But because it's a personal decision, I'd encourage you to really invest some time and energy into knowing thyself. That means you need to have a really deep understanding of your goals and interests. What do you want to achieve in your life and career? If you're passionate about a field that requires deep theoretical knowledge or advanced research skills, then yes, a university degree might be essential. It's unlikely you'll become a surgeon based on doing online courses alone. Or even if you could, you may have patients not trusting you when you put your certificate on the office wall, which is a printout of a YouTube video. However, if you're more interested in acquiring practical, less specialist skills and entering the workforce quickly, alternative pathways might be a better fit. You'll also want to gain a deep understanding of your own learning style. How do you learn best? If you thrive in a structured environment with lectures, discussions, and deadlines, then yes, a traditional university setting might suit you. But if you prefer a more self-directed approach or learn best by doing, then online courses or apprenticeships could be more effective. You'll also need to consider your own financial situation. The cost of university is a major consideration, particularly if you're concerned about student loans, debt, or have limited financial resources, or worried about the cost of living going forward after you graduate. There are scholarships and grants, and maybe things that might help make it more affordable. You'll also want to get more specific learning about the job market in your desired field. Are employers prioritizing traditional degrees, or are they open to candidates with alternative credentials and experience? Consider the skills that are in high demand and the different ways that you might be able to acquire them beyond just university. And finally, learn about how important would the intangible benefits be for you. Remember, if a university education is more than just a degree, if it is about that opportunity for personal growth, intellectual exploration, and lifelong connections, then what's the value of those benefits? And crucially, be creative about thinking what other paths could you pursue to maybe get those same benefits. Regardless of your decision, the key takeaway is this: now, more than ever, you need to commit to being a curious and lifelong learner. The world is evolving at an unprecedented pace, and to thrive, you must constantly seek out new knowledge and skills. Throughout your life, you may find yourself returning to structured learning environments multiple times. You might pivot between different industries, roles, careers. So anything that helps you develop mental agility, first principles thinking, and the ability to quickly switch contexts will be invaluable. The most valuable asset you possess will be your thirst for knowledge and your willingness to grow. And that's something that comes from within, no matter whether or not you go to university. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think, so please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thanks for the time, Futureflectors, and as always, remember to stay curious to stay ahead.